It's time for the start and sits for week 3. Let's get it started. I can't believe I'm saying this, but start Kirk Cousins. Kirk has thrown for over 300 yards in back-to-back games. 2 touchdowns the first game, 4 touchdowns the second game, finishing 9th and 2nd last week. You gotta start Kirky, boy. Sit Joe Burrow. He's banged up and he's not gonna be able to get away from Aaron Donald, who will be on him all night. Plus, this is a Monday night game. It's the last game of the week. If you are desperate enough to play Joe Burrow, at least grab my sleeper as a backup. Matthew Stafford. He's thrown for 300 yards in back-to-back games, and what's really holding him back is the touchdown. He's only had 1 so far this year, but that's not a Matthew Stafford thing. Matthew Stafford can throw touchdowns, guys. Also, he's perfect for any Joe Burrow managers. If you want to roll the dice and see if Joe Burrow plays, fine. But at least you have the guy on the other side of the field, so that if he can't go, you can play Stafford. I personally wouldn't be playing Burrow. There are better options out there, but Stafford should be on your waiver wire. The Bengals have also been terrible against the quarterback position. 3 wide receivers to start in week 3, and a bonus that's just to boost the confidence. Until this player is ranked in the top 20, I'm gonna keep bringing him up. Nico Collins. Put some respect on my man's name. Last week, 7 receptions for 146 yards and a touchdown. They're getting closer to putting him in the top 20, but he's not there yet. Stop sleeping on Nico Collins. I've been trying to tell y'all. Yes, I'm starting him. Next up, Mike Williams. The Chargers are going against the Minnesota Vikings. I expect this game to be a back and forth affair. And this man had 13 targets last week. 13? Dang, that's a lot of targets. This one you're going to have to watch the injury report for. Amari Cooper came into last week banged up, still got 10 targets, 7 receptions, and 90 yards. Now he gets to go against the Tennessee Titans, who have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receiver this year. If he's on the field, he's going to eat. And I know you're starting A.J. Brown, but just to give you an extra little boost of confidence if you were worried last week, yes, he had 7 fantasy points. But did y'all see him having a fit on that sideline? Wide receivers have been doing this for years. If they don't get targeted enough, they're gonna let you know. And you know what happens the next game? They eat. Watch for A.J. Brown to ball out against my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's not the best matchup, but they will feed him. I'll be surprised if he doesn't have his best game of the year. A.J. Brown's getting a touchdown this week. You can book it. 3 wide receivers you should sit this week. And a bonus tip, DJ Moore. I know he had a good game last week, 6 for 104. But Kansas City's defense has been good, and the way that Justin Fields has been talking, sounds like he's gonna try to run the ball more. He looked way too hesitant to throw the ball last week. These yards that DJ Moore racked up, a lot of them, he just made a play and made it happen. If you play DJ Moore, you're just hoping for garbage time. Anything can happen in garbage time. Terry McLaurin's going up against Buffalo, who's been pretty good against the wide receiver, but he's expected to get shadowed by Tre'Davious White, which is not good. Tre'Davious White on an already banged up receiver, not super confident about it. I expect a low output this week. Sit Marquise Brown. Yes, he had 10 targets last week, and he did get a touchdown. 17 points, pretty solid. But he's going against the Dallas Cowboys. And though they lost one of their best defenders in Trayvon Diggs, get better soon, bro. This defense is still elite. Anybody ever heard of Stephon Gilmore? He's gonna be all over Marquise Brown. I'm sitting him if I can. I mean, I'm actively sitting him in one of my leagues. Bonus tip. If you have Garrett Wilson, temper your expectations, even more than usual. He's gonna be shadowed by Christian Gonzalez, who has been incredible this year against the wide receiver position. If Bill Belichick likes to do anything, he wants to take away your biggest threat. And Garrett Wilson is incredible. He does not want him breaking free. Look for Garrett Wilson to get quasi-locked down. He's going to need a touchdown to be relevant, just like all these other sits. 2 sleeper wide receivers for week 3. Elijah Moore. He had 9 targets last week, and he's been involved in the passing and the rushing game. Not a lot, but still. 2 rushes, 1 rush. Now, he only has 3 receptions each of the last 2 weeks, but he's going against the Tennessee Titans, who allow the 3rd most points to the wide receiver position. If you're desperate, Elijah Moore might do some work this week. And Josh Reynolds. Everybody's questionable on this Detroit team. Amon-Ra St. Brown is banged up. Heck, it looks like Josh Reynolds is banged up. Please monitor his health before you put him in. But I do think his opportunities are going to be there. He's had 6 or more targets in back-to-back games. He had 2 touchdowns last week, and he's not even just supported by his touchdowns. 66 yards, 80 yards. He's a pretty solid sleeper. especially with Amon-Ra banged up and David Montgomery going down. Reynolds might get some work. 3 must-start running backs in week 3. Travis Etienne. I know he had a horrible game last week, but he's bouncing back. The Texans are not good against the running back position. Travis Etienne should run all over them. Plus, the Jaguars are going to be up in this game, meaning they're going to want to run out the clock. Travis Etienne is going to feast. Next up, Kenneth Walker III. Going up against Carolina. Carolina allows the second most points to the running back position. Kenneth Walker and the Seahawks expect to be up. Kenneth Walker is going to run all over this team. And I'm not worried about the backup taking his reps. He is clearly the lead dog. And this last one has a tougher matchup, but he's getting all the work. Kyron Williams did work against San Francisco. I am not worried about matchups when you do work against San Francisco. This man is involved. Passing game, rushing game, getting touchdowns. Talking about a running back that had 10 targets last week. Are you kidding me? You start this kid every week. I don't care about the matchups no more. This guy might be a league winner. 2 sleeper running backs that you may want to start this week. Joshua Kelly. I know he hurt you last week. 4 fantasy points. My man had 39 yards. But he was going up against the Tennessee Titans, one of the best run defenses in the league. And this week against Minnesota, they don't scare you. Look for him to get involved this week. With no Austin Eckler, he's going to be that dude. And this next one is a break glass in case of emergency. I'm talking, you don't know what you gonna do, but you need somebody. I think this is your somebody. Craig Reynolds. I think Craig Reynolds is going to get the work of David Montgomery. Now, I don't think he takes the whole workload that David Montgomery had, but the team clearly does not want to give the entire workload to Jahmyr Gibbs. Craig Reynolds is going to come in and get some work. I wouldn't be surprised if he had 12 to 16 carries and maybe some goal line work. Najee Harris has been awful this year, but I can guarantee one thing, he'll get at least half a yard. This is being offered on Thrive Fantasy for everybody that signs up with the code FANTASYBAY. And they'll also match up to $250 of your first deposit. Sounds like a good deal to me. 3 running backs you should sit this week. And you're really not going to like the last one. Dameon Pierce. He has been absolutely awful this year. 7 and 6 fantasy points are not going to cut it. In games where the Texans are going to be down, they're not going to be giving the ball to Dameon Pierce. Newsflash, they're not going to be up against the Jacksonville Jaguars either. I don't think he gets enough work to be viable this week. There are better options. Sit Khalil Herbert. Going up against Kansas City, this team does not run the ball well. He's had 9 carries and 7 carries. He has been getting targets, but those targets aren't really getting him anything. 11 points, 7 points. Now he gets to go against Kansas City. They're going to be down. They're going to need to throw the ball. And if anybody's running the ball, it's going to be Justin Fields, not Khalil Herbert. And plus, he might get his job stolen by Roschon Johnson. The last one is Jerome Ford. I know you're not happy about this. Me neither. I just spent all my fab on this guy. But this is a really bad matchup. If you have other options, you might want to look into it. The Tennessee Titans have allowed the second fewest fantasy points to the running back position. That's wild. Now, fortunately, I think that Jerome Ford could possibly get involved in the passing game, and there's always a chance he could bust one through, but you're going to be rolling the dice. Be careful. 2 sleeper tight ends, I think you should start. Sam Laporta, he's had 5 receptions in back-to-back games. With Amon-Ra banged up and David Montgomery sitting this week, they're going to need to find opportunities in other places. Sam Laporta is going to be a nice safety net. This one may look like a bad matchup, but it's not. Cade Otton. The Philadelphia Eagles have allowed the most points to the fantasy tight end so far this year. And Cade Otton had 6 receptions for 41 yards last week. That's pretty good for a tight end. If you can get 10 points out of your tight end without a touchdown, that's fantastic. 4 defenses I love this week. The Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Chicago Bears. The Bears are in complete and utter disarray, and even if Justin Fields plays without thinking, like he says he wants to, I think that this is a good matchup. Chris Jones is going to be all over him. Expect at least 4 sacks, a pick, and a fumble. The Patriots are going up against Zach Wilson. Should I go on? Sure, why not? The Patriots haven't lost to the New York Jets in 14 matchups. The Jets are starting Zach Wilson this week. This defense is going to feast. And I love the other side as well. New England is not a great offense. They don't really scare me, and this New York Jets defense is serious. And they're probably on the waiver wire because they went up against Dallas last week and they were trash. And this last one's kind of sneaky. The Cleveland Browns. They've had 2 sacks in back-to-back games. They go against the Tennessee Titans. And yes, Derrick Henry is elite, and that man is always that dude, but he is slightly banged up. And I expect a few sacks in this one. Ryan Tannehill is mobile, but he's not as mobile as he used to be. There will be some sacks. There will probably be at least one pick. I think the Cleveland Browns will be a solid defense for you this week. If you do Pigskin Pick'em or are involved in any Survivor League pools, click right here. I got you. I'll see you soon. Peace.